Welcome to the Wealthy Actor Podcast. I'm Valerie Hubbard, an industry veteran with 25 years dedicated to helping actors navigate the business side of their craft.
And I'm James Hallett, a fellow lifelong actor and coach, joining Valerie on this journey.
Here on The Wealthy Actor, we're diving deep into the stories and insights of actors from all walks of life.
We'll be unraveling the threads of success, failures, and everything in between.
So if you're ready to embark on a journey beyond the footlights, join us as we sit down with fascinating actors, industry experts, and thought leaders to uncover the secrets of becoming a truly wealthy actor. I'm Valerie Hubbard.
And I'm James Hallett.
And this is the Wealthy Actor Podcast, where the art of acting meets the business of building a truly prosperous life in the spotlight. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Wealthy Actor Podcast. My name is Valerie Hubbard, and I'm joined by
James Hallett.
James.
Hi, Val. So nice to see you.
You as well. We have an amazing guest today. Let me introduce her. Her name is Lora Bofill. Lora is a multilingual actress who is known for playing comedic roles such as the no-nonsense goth stage manager Meredith and the Emmy Award-winning Hacks, who keeps, or at least tries to keep, Las Vegas star comedian Deborah Vance, Jean Smart, on track. Or the exhausted workout mother in Good Girls opposite Christina Hendricks. She is no stranger to drama, known for her role as Cepeda in The Vigilant on Amazon Prime, based on actual events, and playing empathetic doctor or nurse in the numerous films and TV. The West Virginia native credits her foray into acting with her first role as a tree at the age of 6. She went to do summer stock, college, community, and professional theater. Settling in Washington, D.C., she booked her first on-camera role on a national commercial for AOL before booking numerous on-camera roles. Since then, film, TV, commercials, industrial videos, voiceover roles soon followed. She was a film critic on television, co-hosted for the local DC cable TV entertainment show Eclipse Magazine, and she continued to work in theater, performing with Woolly Mammoth Theater, Young Playwrights Theater, Education and Entertainment Foundation in DC, Asian Stories in American Theater, and a QBD Link Inc. Hi, welcome, Lora.
Hi. Excited to be here. My first live podcast ever. This is like a milestone. I'm excited.
So Laura, in the reading of the bio, there's a lot of stuff, and Valerie didn't even read the whole thing, but there's one thing that we need to lift up immediately.
Okay.
Which is that if you actually played a doctor on television, you're actually a doctor in real life.
I am a doctor in real life. I know what I'm talking about.
How you have managed to do these two careers so successfully blows my mind. So
I heard that a lot.
so would you take a second to tell us about like that balance? Like finding the balance between two careers?
Let me say, I make it look easy. It is not easy. So, because my other career as a physician is obviously very time consuming as well. The way I see it is, I think when you love something, you find a way to make time for it. I know people, I remember when I took this journey because I loved acting. And, obviously I did it even in college. And then when I went to med school, I took a break from it. And I thought, okay, I'm just going to focus purely on science. But during the 4 years, I was like, oh my gosh, there's a creative part of me that I can't let go. And I remember when I was in college, I acted and played Romeo and Juliet. Everyone else is theater majors, and there's me, the biology major. And so he said, when you're an actor, that part of you never goes away. And then I totally got it when I was in med school. I was like, you know what? I got to get back into that creative side of me. So when I graduated from med school, I was like, okay, I'm going to go back into it. And I decided to go, take theater classes. I was in Washington, D.C. And then I just decided from then on, I'm just going to have it a part of my life and I will make it work, by golly. And I did. So yes, even during residency, when you have those crazy hours on for all night, I showed up to my booking the next day after delivering baby. So, you can make it happen. It's just hard. I had a
But
lot of
that,
energy.
that is such powerful statement,
Mhm.
and it's so powerfully impressive and fantastic. And it also says a lot about commitment to the
Mhm.
things that you want to do, and not shying away from it, but
Yeah.
actually diving in, literally giving birth and going showing up and showing up for your call time. Okay.
I know. I don't know how. Once again, I was younger. I had a lot of energy. I could probably still do the stuff. It might be just a little harder. Some cups of coffee to do that. But I remember when I had finished med school, I was like, because I didn't know anybody at the time. Now we have my hero, Ken Jeong, who's a doctor actor. But at the time, I didn't really have any role models of, is this possible to even do that? I
Mm,
thought there's no way. I didn't go to theater school. I mean, I got plays, but that didn't mean I was like a graduate of a theatrical program. I was like, probably, that was for fun, and I enjoyed my theater, and honestly, I love theater just as much as on camera. So for me, it's all the same medium: creating a story, creating a character. Here's a funny story. So when I was I decided to embark in residency. I was still acting, and I thought, well, how am I going to do this? Because it's a very demanding. When you have a medical career, it's very demanding. But I remember once upon a time, I'm dating myself. There's a thing called MySpace. Uh, for those older people that know what MySpace is, I guess it was kind of like a Facebook. I don't know how to Facebook. I don't know. It's a different medium back then. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna look for a doctor actor. Here's a funny story. So there's a Ken Jong popped up. I was like, okay, there's a doctor actor. Now he's blind. He's famous, but I'm going to send a message to him and say, I'm going to go into a certain field. And I do urgent care medicine. I was like, but I also want to do acting as well. What do you think? And I forgot the exact word, but he's like, yeah, sounds great. It's like, awesome. Now he's famous. I'm like, so anyway, he was kind of like my role model because I didn't really have any role models at the time. So,
mm.
but see, he did it, so I can do it too, and so can anybody else.
I think what's really interesting, and I would love to have you talk about, is
Mhm.
the fact that you have such a busy life and you have these two huge careers. There
Mhm.
must be a lot of systems that you
Yes.
have to have in place to deal with it. So could you talk a little bit about that? Because I think, a lot of times with actors, it's like they don't understand that they're running a business, which requires them to have systems and operating procedures. But I know you understand that. So could you share a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, yeah. So, obviously I work long hours. I work late at night. Sometimes I'll get these auditions. And I'll be like, oh my gosh. My system is I have to create a system because that's the only way I'm going to be able to give the type of quality auditions that I want. So the moment I see the audition, I automatically try to figure out who's available for coaching. So you have to figure out, not everybody's not going to be available. So I go down and I also try to call who's available. Once I have that down, then I look over the script. I always, for me, it's not just when you're looking at the script, I always think you have to be word perfect. You have to know everything. No, you have to know what the story is about, what the character is about. You also have to know the tone. So let's say you know the story, the character, but you don't know the tone. So I look over the script. I do my script analysis. Thank you to all the classes I've taken for script analysis and my Meisner technique. But and then after that, I watch the show. I somehow make time, so it's tricky. But on whatever free time I have, I'll try to watch even if it's just a trailer or something or a full episode, and then I do my coaching. You have to have a system, especially if you're balancing two careers. It's the only way to make it work because if you're going to put yourself out there with auditions, you want to put your best foot forward. You want to show them what you can do as an actor, not just, let me try to get through it. The audition is part of the work as well. It's not just an audition.
Yeah.
So what's fascinating about what you said is that you literally spelled out what I do as a coach.
Uh,
because what I do as a coach is I look over the script, I read through the script. I need to know the story. I need to know the tone. I do script analysis to look at where the character is, and then I watch the show
Mhm.
because I can't coach someone if I don't know the tone of the show. And I try to watch a whole episode if I have time. But also, the other thing is that we have to know where the show is right now
Hmm.
because the tone of a show changes year to year. And what you described is fantastic because that's exactly what I would do as a coach to prep. And if an actor is doing the same thing, then we're meeting at the same place. And
Yeah.
that is so important. It's so important. And I love that you do that. And I love that you put that attention and detail into it because it means that you're coming prepared and that it saves you time. It saves everyone. It's just that system is fantastic and it gets you where you need to be
Yeah.
so that when the camera turns on, you're there and you know where you are. You know the feeling of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Fantastic.
the other thing when I'm doing the script analysis is when you get the breakdowns, a lot of times it'll have the name of who's the writers, the producers, casting people. And so another extra step, and I try to, once again, somehow make it time for this. I'll try to Google or try to see what are their previous shows, especially if it's a pilot. Sometimes you get these pilot scripts and you have no idea how the tone is going to be. But a lot of times there's an underlying current of how their shows typically have a certain feel to it.
Yep.
And so that's how I do it. And yeah, you have to for these pilots. Like Hacks was a pilot when I did it, and I had nothing to go by. But I try to figure it out. I work backwards. I'll see who are the people, and then I'll go backwards and see, well, what are the tones of some of the stuff they've done. So,
That's great. Yep.
yeah.
It's awesome. And there's some other, you had to also begin to bring on a team, right? You brought on an assistant, and how did that come about?
I've had different people help me over time. So you do need to have help. So like I've had different people help assist me. And like right now I've got somebody that helps me with like social media because I don't have a lot of time for that. Or I'd have people like help organize like all the find casting people and reach out and things like that because it takes up so much time. So I think having other people to help you is a good thing. So
Mhm.
definitely like help with
Yeah.
social media
I
and
mean,
stuff.
that's really important because
Yes.
we're talking here, the name of the podcast is Wealthy Actor. And,
Hmm.
you got to spend money to make money, but you've got to build the container to hold what you have going. And I think, for me, that was a big thing. And because I've been coaching you since 2017.
Oh gosh, isn't that long?
Yes, girl.
Wow.
Which, by the way, is a funny story. She came to an event. She was in a big audience, and she raised her hand. I called on her, and she said, she that she does this drama, and I'm listening to her. I'm like, "You're funny," and she goes, "I am. No one's ever told me that." I was like, "What? No one's ever told you that?" And yeah, so I always remember that. It's like so close to my heart. But I think, I remember telling you, I remember when you said to me, I'm getting so many auditions and bookings, I don't have time to do the reach outs. And I'm like, but that's the whole reason we're working is so you get all these bookings and so
Yeah.
then you build a team to help you to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And you really always took the advice and did that. So
Yeah.
awesome, awesome. And you just got an amazing email press kit done for you that so your manager can go pitch you, which is amazing.
Oh.
So you just keep stepping into the bigger Lora Bofill,
Mhm.
and I'm really proud of you for that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah.
Laura, you're located where?
I'm based in Los Angeles.
Based in Los Angeles. And how would you describe where things are in Los Angeles after after the fires, for that COVID and the strike? Like how have things changed for you, and have you had to adjust in any different way?
Yeah, it's funny. I started from the days of black and white headshots. Do you remember the black and white headshots? Back in the day when I had an agent, you had to print out all your resumes on paper and then give like 20 copies of it. So I'm of that. That's when I started. So, yeah, things have changed since black and white headshots. That's for sure. It's funny to see how the progression went from those to electronic and like Actors Access, all this stuff, where now it's easy. You don't have to like go into a physical place with your headshot in hand and script. So, but yeah, it's before the pandemic, I had to go in all over LA. And boy, was that tricky because I have my job the doctor. And then you had to go into Burbank. You had to go to Santa Monica. Sometimes I'd have two or three auditions at the same time, driving around, and then I still make it in time for work. So that was tricky, but I made it work. Once again, I know. And then after the pandemic, during things started to change because there's the lockdown. So then the self tapes became more predominant. So there are already self tapes going on before the pandemic. So because I remember starting to do those, but especially during the pandemic, that's when it became a really major part of auditioning. And now I think that's going to be here to stay unless anything changes. I mean, now there's more auditioning wise. Now there's chances to, well, commercials you go. So that's different. You can go in, but theatrical, I think they're doing more. You can have potentially like more FaceTime, like Zoom or things like that. So the casting directors know who you are because I have the advantage of that before the lockdown. I was literally going into the studios. So the casting directors actually knew who Lora Bofill was as a human, not just as a video. That would be some of the major changes since the pandemic. I'm sorry, no, since the fires, things have stayed, I would say, yeah, it hasn't really changed too much. I mean, it didn't as far as like anything changing in how auditions or things like that were.
Have you
Um,
seen them slow down? I mean, do you pay attention to that or does that affect?
I did notice that, and it's funny because I had gone to actually a mixer with the Television Academy because I'm a Television Academy member, and I talked with different people in the industry, which is great. I get to talk with producers and editors and other actors. Yeah, after like I do remember the SAG strikes because I was out there with my fellow SAG members for that. I do feel like things have slowed down a little bit. So I did notice a difference, and I thought it was just me as an actor. But then when I talked with other people who are actively part of the industry, they said no, it's slowed down in LA and not even just LA and other parts, just everywhere in general too. So I'm not really sure. I mean, that's probably why it slowed down this much. Hopefully, at some point, the momentum will go back up again. So it's not just for actors. So if it's across the board for people in the entertainment business.
It's good, but it seems like you have a positive attitude as a human. So it seems like you don't really put too much weight into that. You find other things to do and to enjoy. Am I right about that?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So you could be in the mindset of, oh my gosh, things are terrible, the production stuff. That's not the way I see it. And by the way, auditions are still there. I'm still auditioning, so that hasn't stopped. I think it's more a matter of when things are slower than usual, use that as a way to work on your branding, your social media, your training, take classes. So I don't think there's really such thing as a slow time. It depends on how you look at it. It's how you frame it. Because you want to be ready because even when things are quote slow, something's going to come around the corner. And you want to be training, you want to be ready for them that right role because if a role is right for you, it's going to all the universe is going to align and you want to be ready for that.
I agree. That's really well said. And
Mhm.
I think it's so important. And I would even say that we have to be ready for the thing we want to become.
Mhm.
So if we want to become a series regular, we actually have to do the work of memorizing longer scripts and getting used to that and beginning to think about long form characters. What is the character's arc? If I'm a series regular, I'm going to
Yeah,
appear again and again, over and over. So that preparation, we want to put the preparation into action before we actually get the thing we're dreaming of.
exactly. Yep.
So I think that's really fantastic that you do that. And also, it doesn't surprise me that you have that mindset because as a doctor, you want to be prepared before the person comes in needing
Oh, that's true.
Right.
It's just ingrained in me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but it's also it's a statement about your drive, your capacity, the work that you've put into it, and the mindset you have around it. So it's not like oh, you're a doctor so you can do. No, it's like you're a person who has put into place a way for you to energize your skills, to use your skills,
Yeah.
in multiple expressions, which are all
Yeah.
challenging
Oh,
in
yeah.
different ways. Have you ever met someone in your practice who you're like, oh, this is someone who I want to meet in the acting entertainment world? Like, have you ever encountered?
Oh, yes. I'll leave it at that. I won't say
No, I. That's fine.
multiple
Yeah,
times.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
That's hilarious. I love your answer.
That's great.
There, I'm just doctor. I'm not actress. I'm like, one day.
Right, right. And here's package. Take care of yourself, and included in that is my headshot.
I know. I'd love to say, hey, my headshot, but I'm like,
That's hilarious. So talk to me about like your own pursuit of stuff that really, I've known that you've gone after projects. And what do you do when you go after projects? And how do you involve your manager in that and that sort of thing?
oh, okay. So if I see a project that I want and I want to go after it, I actually will see, like, especially the best time is when it's in pre-production. So I'll try to see this is a show that I want to be on. I'll actually make a nice little email. I'll try to send it to casting saying, hey, I'd be right for it. And I'll have a link to like my pitch video. And then, I'll send a message to my manager say, hey, there's this project that I'm really interested in. I would love for you to just kind of put in a word for me. So that's typically, I have a system for that also. So, because you have to keep on top of things, because, you want people to know what you're good for. And in fact, like for comedy, when you said about the whole comedy thing, I didn't have anything on my real multicam. So I actually because I wanted to show the type of roles I could play, I actually had something created, like a thing for multicam. And, that helps. I think you need to create the things and show what you're able to do. If they don't see it for you, you have to show it for them. And, I've been doing a lot of comedy stuff since then too.
I haven't heard many people talk about creating their own content for multicam. So I would love to hear about that. Like, who did you go to? How did you approach that in terms of the text of the script?
So there's a lot of different places there. For that particular one, this was several years ago. I went with Rock Your Reel, and I spoke with the person, and she's now they're branching out a production of films, which is amazing. Melissa was the one I spoke with there, and I just said, hey, look, I don't have anything showing multicam, and I need to show that I have a comedic rhythm. So I actually had to do my own research first. I went on different shows and I said, this is the tone that I want. This is how I want it to be. And this is the type of characters I can play based on my branding. And then came up with like original content, a script just for me, and I found other people to be cast in it, and that's how we went through it. So I did my research. I didn't. I think if you're going to create content for yourself, for example, a demo or anything like that, you have to research what's your branding. Because if you just go say, "Hey, I want a reel," but you don't know what your brand is, I think it almost backfires. Because the whole point of it is show what you can do in your brand. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Thank you.
That is good advice.
Yeah.
Uh, I know that you have been getting some opportunities for series regular. Where do you see yourself next? Like what's your focus on where you're going in your acting career?
I think I've been blessed in that like most of my projects are comedy. And believe it or not, I've actually delved into the drama as well. So I've been lucky in that too. So, I'm one of the, it's sometimes it's hard to break and you stay stuck in one or the other. I've been actually been lucky to go into dramas. So like Mayans MC, American Horror Stories. So I mean, I've gone like dark also, but I would love to go either way, but I think my trajectory will probably in the long run end up being comedy since that's where most of my biggest bookings are. I would love to be a series regular on some sitcom show. And my coach Kurt says that he's like, one day you're going to be a series regular. So I hope so, Kurt.
Kurt
Yeah.
knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where I would love to be. And, recurring top of show guest star on a show somewhere, either comedy or drama. So, but yeah.
Great. I want to say to the audience, if you have questions, please put them in the Q&A. We'd love to have Lora answer your questions for you. So please put those questions in there. Yeah. What else, James? What do you want to know?
You in the balance of these two careers, and I apologize for harping on this, but it's so impressive, and also just the ability to juggle that and to make time, the way in which you built a system to allow that. How would you, or how do you imagine balancing if you're a series regular? Like what would shift? What would shift if your time commitment changes?
Oh, yeah.
And have you thought about that, or is it just one of those things that's just going to happen when it happens, and you'll figure it out?
Yeah. Oh, no, I've thought about it. I mean, obviously, if that happens and I book a series regular, it's the amount of text and time that series regulars have to memorize. It's a lot of text. So I would have to change the balance of what I may have to adjust how I do my work schedule. Currently, it's been great. Like I feel like the universe says, Laura, you're supposed to be doing the shows because I don't typically like all these things, these shows I've done, I'd never really had a conflict with my work schedule. They always happen around the days I'm not working. I don't know why. I'm like, oh, I would tell my man, I'm like, oh, is this when they need me on set? Okay, I'm off that day. Oh, this day? Okay, I'm not working that. It just always works out. Do you see how when the universe wants you to do something, somehow I really feel it's the universe saying, this is where you're meant to be. Because how many shows have I done? How many times have I should have had work conflicts and it typically worked out? So, yeah, but I know that when I get to that point, I would have to figure out what to do as far as my schedules. Yeah.
I actually to Cedar Sinai for surgery.
Oh,
Are you at Cedar Sinai now, or were you?
oh, well, I can't say.
Oh, you
Well,
can't. You can't.
well, I won't say.
You won't. It's okay. It's
But
okay.
I am at a very large hospital system in Southern California with that has wonderful, excellent patient care.
That's great. So I happened to go to Cedar Sinai, which is one of those potential hospitals, and had fantastic care. And now I live in New York, and I'm like, oh, I miss that. It's a very different world, and
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the other things that we don't know about you? Like if you were to say like, oh, what we know about you is that you're a doctor and you're an actress. What else? What are the other hobbies or things that no one knows about that are like, things you listen to audiobooks? Are you a reader? Do
I
you like to travel?
I love to travel. I actually did a lot of writing, entertainment writing. I don't know, that might have been in my bio. Oh, you said the
Yeah, I did say
co-hosting.
that.
So when I was a co-host in this co-host slash movie critic at East before I moved out to LA. And when I was here, I was like, you know what? They didn't have, obviously I couldn't do the show here in LA. I was like, you know what? I wonder if they need anybody to be like a writer, like on like for this on-camera entertainment magazine. And I reached out to the editor. She's like, yeah, sure. And so for a few years, I was actually part of press too. So I went to Comic-Con. I did all see. So I saw things. I know I see things on the other side. It's actually good to know what it's like on the other side. So I've actually interviewed like showrunners, directors, major A-listers. So, it was kind of cool to see things on the other side. So kind of gives me an idea that if in the future, if I have to do like press junkets, things like that, I kind of know what it's like on the other side because I actually did it for a few years.
Wow.
So,
Would,
yeah.
would, would you ever consider writing your own series?
You know what? I'm good at entertainment writing. I would love to write my own, like write something. So, but I haven't gotten into that realm yet, but I would love to. That's like in my future goals of things I would love to do or write my own short film. That's kind of like my future in the future.
That's
Um,
awesome. We have some questions, James.
Oh, questions.
Yes.
Yay. Okay.
Yes. Hi, Laura. Adrian here. Nice to pod meet you. By the way, I adore you in Hacks. I love the idea of magical casting chemistry between actors in a show. What's the most hilariously awkward audition moment you've had? And as your doctor background ever unexpectedly helped in an audition? Thank you.
hmm. Oh gosh, let's see. Awkward auditions. I don't know. There's a lot of um I could address like the medical background portion of things. I remember I was going to an audition when you do commercial auditions, sometimes you don't really know exactly what you're gonna do. That's why improv, if you do commercials, is really helpful. You know, I remember I went to it was for it was and I ended up booking that national commercial too. It was, I think it was Honda or it was a car commercial. And I used I was playing role of a doctor and I had to improv with somebody else. And I was like, oh, okay, this is easy. I'm a real doctor. I'll just use my own skills on how to deliver a baby. And I had good chemistry with the other person and we both booked it together. So there's that. Awkward auditions. I have to think about that. That's a little tricky. I've auditioned, I mean, I think awkward would probably be more in person than self-tape. So, um, hmm, that's a good question. Um, gosh, that's a question that finally stumped me for the day. Oh, I know after the podcast I'll remember something or
You'll go, oh, I remember.
I'll remember it. Let me think about that.
Do you have any interest in working on a medical drama?
Oh, absolutely. I would love to. I would love to. There's a lot of medical shows out there. There's like hardcore drama, like The Pit. I would love that. That's my one of my favorite shows right now. St. Dennis Medical is a medical comedy. I would love to be on that. So I would love to do that to just, bring my knowledge and skills to life as an actor. So absolutely.
That's so funny because you've auditioned for St. Dennis, haven't you?
Not yet,
Oh my God, girl.
but it will happen.
It will happen.
It
It
will
will
happen.
happen. And the pit, I
Yeah.
mean, have you auditioned
I
for that one?
auditioned for that one.
Yeah, I'm sure you have because I've had a couple of clients on it and I was like, I'm like, oh, Laura needs to be on the show. But really, the other one, St. Dennis, is like totally right for you.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that that's one that you went after, right?
It's one of the ones that I'm interested in. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, great. Side question: do you sing? You have a fantastic timbre, twang, and a resonance in your voice.
Yes, I do sing. I actually did musical theater. So, I'm a soprano. I had studied musical theater also. So I've taken musical theater classes and I have done musical theater. So yes, thanks for picking that up on
Huh.
that.
She said that Adrian said I have her number if you think of an awkward audition.
I will, because it will hit me later on. I'll be like, Adrian, let me tell you that awkward moment. So yeah.
It's interesting because a lot of times I'll wake up in the morning to a question from Laura, which take should I choose?
Hmm.
And I always love that because it's like, that what makes you want to coach on every audition? I mean, you've been auditioning for a while. Why do
Mhm.
you coach on every audition?
Um, Not like for commercial auditions, I don't coach for
Yeah,
those.
I know.
No, I don't do those. Um, and the majority of them I do coach just because sometimes I know how I see myself as, but it's nice to have like an outside voice or an outside person to see, is your eye line correct? Is there, are you getting the gist of the scene? Because I've been doing this for years. So I can pretty much go through a script and figure out pretty quickly what it's about. But it's just nice to have that outside voice to say, this is what I think you should probably pick up on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, me
James
too.
just coached me on Sunday.
I did.
Yeah. And I was looking at James. I was like, yes, James, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Well, it's so true. And I mean, I'm a coach, but I'm also an actor. And and I think that um the coach side of me is like, I can help people, and the actor side of me is like, yeah,
Mhm.
I need that too, right? Like we all um I mean the whole idea of having someone on the outside who's watching us and I mean we as actors we step into the character and we're focused on the lines and we're focused on being present in the story and and there's something really wonderful about having somebody on the outside go, you could try it like this, right? Just to bring a different nuance to it and that can wake up something in us that's really powerful.
Yeah.
And
It's
and
so
and
it's
I
so true. I mean, like, when you coach me and you say things to me, James, it's like, oh yeah. It's just like that, it's that outside voice that comes in and says, what about this? Or what about this? Or remember this? And, I keep getting these auditions for judges. And I used to have a client that was a judge. I've had doctors, judges, attorneys, and he was like, what about Billy, your old client Billy, who was a judge? Remember how she always felt like, she was bigger, like she was the leader, the,
she yeah she had that gravitas,
yes, because
right?
she was a judge and she had to control the court.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And that was like,
yeah.
so I was like, oh yeah, it's this energy that I didn't realize until he said that. So I think it's great that and also, your coach reads with you, which knocks that out. So you don't have to have your bad actor husband. Like we both have bad actor husbands. My husband, when he reads with me, it's like he's never read before. I pledge of allegiance to, like,
Yeah, I have to have like another like coach or somebody who has because it makes a difference in the
it
read
does.
a little bit, just a tad bit.
It does make a huge difference. When I see it's like law terms, I'm like, oh my God, I have to call James. Like there's if it's just a couple of words, then he can handle it, but
Yeah.
that's hilarious. Oh, we have some more questions. James, go ahead.
Okay. So Edwin says, looking back at the early stages of your career, what was a pivotal moment that helped you break into consistent acting work?
Um, it was, well, it's funny. So, I told you after Misco, I decided I wanted to go back into it. So, I would read books on like how to break into acting because I just knew things from theater is the world is so different from on camera. So I'm reading all these books and I was like, oh, I have to have a headshot. Oh, I have to do this and that. Oh, I will find random auditions around the area. So so I remember seeing a casting call somewhere. I showed up to an audition, and so I mean, there's the story will lead up to the pivotal thing, like how I started getting professional acting jobs is, and I showed up this audition, and I had my little early version of a headshot. And and I did well, and the casting director said, "Oh, great! Although you should probably get a real headshot." Like, so she gave me the name of her friend who happened to be a photographer. I didn't hear back. I was like, okay, I didn't book it. It's fine. So I do the photo shoot. And as the photo shoot was ending, the photographer that I was referred to um, she said, "Oh, I just got a call from my friend. They're looking for," and it was the commercial I auditioned for. They're going another direction. They're looking for an Asian. Are you available? I was like, "Yes, I am." So I go to the audition again, and I ended up booking, and that was my America Online commercial. It was a national commercial, and it ended up from there. I was able to segue, and I got like, got agents and all that stuff. So yeah, so that was like the pivotal of when I started my professional career, my first paid acting gig too. It's so exciting to say that, oh, now I'm a real actor. I got a paycheck.
So what's funny is that we now have to explain AOL,
Yeah, I know.
which I
Oh,
mean,
that's right.
so those people who don't know, America Online, AOL was the beginning of all of these other services. It's
Mhm.
before Facebook. It's before, like, it was the first thing that allowed people to dialogue with each other in a really public online way. Um, I mean, You've Got Mail, the movie, was sort of the movie that sort of celebrated AOL, right? Um,
Yeah. What's really funny is the voice of AOL, the You Got Mail. I've actually coached with him before. He's a voiceover artist, David Lawrence. And it's like full circle. I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
David Lawrence is the voice of AOL. Was the voice of AOL?
Yeah.
I never
You,
knew that.
do you know David?
I
He's
do.
amazing.
Of course, I know David. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Yeah, I never knew that.
Full circle. Full circle. So
Full circle.
yeah.
so we have another question. Um, so Jean asks, wondering about your training. Have you taken improv classes, and do you like Meisner?
Oh yeah. So yes, I've done both of those. I did the full Meisner technique class. I studied and graduated from the Ruskin Theater School in Santa Monica. So that was great for like and for the drama and just in general getting out of your head, because remember in the scene it's not about you, it's about your scene partner and how you move them, so that's what makes the scene more interesting. So I studied Meisner, which was amazing. I also I did take improv classes. I've taken multiple improv classes throughout my career. Most notably, I had taken classes at UCB and I'd taken classes at Groundlings, and I think it's great. It's freeing, and I realize how important improv is, especially if you book comedy show. Like I was on Tacoma FD on their season finale, and it was scripted, but then we also did a lot of improv. And I mean, it goes fast when you have a whole ensemble of all the series regular and you're the guest. You got to be able to roll with the punches. And I was like, thank goodness I got that improv training, because some of these shows, even in Hacks 2, there's like a little improv. Sometimes they'll say, hey, can you do this on the sly? So you just have to boom at that event, like, okay, I'm going to do this. And you have to be able to roll with it with all the other series regulars. So it helps. It really helps. And of course, for commercials, you need it too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love what you said. It's about the most important person in the scene is the other person.
Absolutely.
And that's really great. And I didn't really study improv until I moved to LA and thank God I did as well, because then I was on Workaholics and
Hmm.
those boys were like never stuck to script, right? It was just, and I think I would have just been panicked,
Yeah.
you know. And a lot of times, it's so funny. A lot of times, um, this is after performing with a lot of men in an improv group. The answer for me was, instead of trying to top them, to go under, right?
Mhm.
Like, and so a lot of times it's about the response, right? It's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's that,
Uh-huh.
it's like the
Yeah.
responding, not the trying to say something funnier. And improv's not about being funny, it's about the rules. And so I
Hmm.
just had this conversation with another client who's really scared of improv.
Mm.
Mm.
And I think improv is awesome. I think it's
Oh,
great.
yeah. I love it. It's
Yeah.
so much
Good.
fun.
Wait, just curious, which did you prefer, the type of training, Groundlings or UCB?
I think I feel like UCB is more like long form improv.
Yeah.
Groundlings is more short form and like a lot of character based, like, the way you see in SNL. So I think I ended up choosing more of the groundlings, and I trained there a little longer
Mm.
because I like their way of building up characters in their short form. So that's just a personal preference.
Yeah, I know. Both of them are great, but it's like, they are different because I've
They are different. They're not.
done both of the styles, and it was just, I thought I'd ask you that.
Yeah.
We have another question.
Yeah, we do. Well, it's sort of it's not a question so much as someone saying fantastic story. Love that about AOL. Um, and the other person listen and respond. I would love to hear your Eponine from Les Mis.
Oh gosh. Oh, I don't know. I'll have to. I can take a video of myself and send it to you personally. I don't know this off my offhand.
You didn't know you were going to come here and have to sing, did you?
Right,
No,
right.
Well, we
I
make
have
all
to
our
like
guests sing.
warm up my vocals. I would have been warming up beforehand, but thank you though. I mean,
So,
Oh my God. That's
so
hilarious.
are we seeing your setup for self tapes right now? Like, is this the
this is actually my self tape. So when I do my auditions, this is pretty much what it's gonna look like. Yeah, you
yeah?
can't see it, but I've got like lights here and a light in front of me in the background. Yeah, so this is what you would see when you get my audition coming through.
So do you have any advice for people, things you've learned about self taping that would be helpful for an actor to know? Like,
Um, I would say just already have like you know it. I have my lights, and you can get these for like on Amazon for they're not that expensive for like I think $50. Um, but I would say you don't have to spend a fortune. Go on Amazon, get it for $50 the lights, get this background. Everything was Amazon. And, just have it ready. I have it nearby. I have a certain area where because once again, time management. I don't always have the time to say, hey, so they're just kind of all nearby. So when I have to put it all together, all I have to do is plug in my lights, put this up, and then I'm ready to go. So, I think lighting, at least, it doesn't have to be fancy. Make sure you just have good lighting so they can at least see your face. I actually record my self tapes on my cell phone. I used to go a little fancier and have a big, like this, like a Canon camera and do it all fancy. Now I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get the same thing with a cell phone. And it's just easier and faster for me to send everything over. So
yeah,
that would be my advice for that.
yeah.
And as far as like eyeline, how do you do it? Where is your where do you see Kurt when he's coaching you, or do you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So the way I do it is I have my computer, so we do it on Zoom. So I'll have my laptop and you can't really see, but I have a table and let's see, probably okay.
Yeah.
Um, and so I have this thing that attaches on the desk. Once again, this is all Amazon for like less than $50. And then I attach my cell phone on one side, and then I have the laptop on the other. So I use him as an eye line. I have my phone on the other side. And so, you have to be also, eye lines are also important. So because it shows, especially if you're going for the higher level, so you have to show that I know how to work with the camera because what I do, what you see in my audition, that's what I'm going to be doing on the actual set. So I'm not going to be deviate. The way I approach it is this is how you're going to see me when I'm actually on set. So that's how I approach it, not just of this is my audition. This is me when I'm already on the set playing whatever character you book me on. So, but yeah, I have Kurt on the coach on one side, and then I look on the other side for my eye line. So, I mean, I go back and forth if I have another character. Otherwise, the main character is going to be my coach. Whoever has the most lines, that should be where your main eye line is.
Good. Yeah.
And you put that on the other side of the lens of your camera, the other person.
Yeah, if I have the other lesser character, and if there's more characters, then I'll try to adjust it accordingly. So, but if you're doing the other side, you have to actually don't just look at the other side, like actually see what you're looking at. So because it can play off if you're just looking instead of like actually seeing who you're talking to on the other
Yeah.
side.
Yeah, I sometimes have people actually tape up a photo
Hmm.
that they can actually look into the eyes of the picture of someone,
Yeah.
um, just to give yourself a really specific point.
Yeah.
You're actually
Yeah.
looking into a face, but that's yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And I also you said something that I also really believe in and support and agree with 100%, which is that we now I've completely forgotten what I was going to say.
It's about she tapes it like it's going to be.
Yes, thank you. Yes,
Yes.
you tape it like it's going to be. You're going to show up, right? This is how I'm going to be on set, and I
Hmm.
think that's so important right now,
So important.
especially because they've they don't have time in the industry to work with you. They need you to come in ready to go,
Hmm.
and they want you to they do they want you to see, they want you to come camera ready. So the fact that you're actually saying this is how you're going to see me on set is so important. It's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
Thank you, Valerie.
Yeah. No, because I heard that too, because in our
Yeah.
self-tape class that we have in biz school, that's the thing that John Teague said, my friend who taught that, was he has his setup so that he feels like when he is taping, he's walking on set doing the actual role.
Mhm.
Right. And so when you said that, it reminded me of what John said. And no wonder both of you booked so much, because you treat it like you're already got the part, which I think is like a huge mindset thing that you said, which was really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we have two more questions that have popped up. What's the biggest misconception about being a comedy actor that you've come across?
I think the biggest misconception is that I don't know, but is that when you're a comedy actor, you're just always funny all the time. I go around saying jokes everywhere I go, and in real life, it's not always like that. Sometimes, like when we're not on, when the camera's not rolling, people are serious too. I would love to just be like a walking stand-up comic, like, how's your day going? So, throw out jokes and stuff. But I don't know. I don't know if that's really a misconception. That's probably just goes back to where I told Valerie, I was like, I don't think I'm funny, because sometimes I still don't think I'm funny, but clearly people think I'm funny. So yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if that's really a true misconception, but
Well, but I think that you're right. I think that people sometimes confuse being funny with with having jokes,
yeah.
right? And I think of Gene Wilder, and
Mm,
Gene Wilder was someone who actually said, I'm a straight actor. I'm not a comedic actor. I'm a straight actor. I commit completely to the character. And if the character is funny, or if the character's in a funny situation, then I'm funny. And I
yeah.
thought that was such a brilliant way of saying it, that that it's really about being a great actor.
Mhm.
And if the circumstance is funny, then you're completely committing to it.
Yeah.
So you're free. You don't have to be funny. You're a great actress, Laura. You know, um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's really with comedy, it's just higher stakes. I mean, it's always higher
Yeah.
stakes, right? It's like, and that's really it. And a lot of times with the roles that you and I get cast on in sitcom, we're the straight man anyway. A lot of times, like we're the
Yeah.
the star of the show is the funny person, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, because there's in like comedy scenes, you got the straight person and you got all the people that are kind of their weird, wacky world. So yeah, typically I'm the straight person with all the people going crazy around me. Yeah.
Kind of like being a doctor.
Yeah, kind of like I
I,
manage.
I was just thinking, because I coached you when you were going through COVID as a doctor. And
Mm.
I was like, it was hugely dramatic. And you shared with me a lot of stuff during that time. You were actually my go-to person. Like, should I be scared about this? What's that?
Oh,
Like I would ask Laura like that. But I also think that, anytime in great drama, there's great comedy, right? And I bet there would be some little seeds for you there if you were going to write like a short film,
Mm,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I'm sure there was. I'm sure there
Yeah.
was. Because I remember being in New York in 9/11, and it
Mhm.
was an awful, awful day, but there was also some stuff that was just ridiculously funny because people, when they're in a situation that's panicked, they
Yeah.
act
Like a certain
completely
way.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think like when there's chaos, you to get through a difficult things, you actually have to look at the positive because that's what gets you through things, you
Yeah.
know, because if you
Mm,
just stay in the dark all the time, yeah. That's why we have comedy to make people uplifted.
Yeah. Yeah,
exactly.
we all loved Tiger King,
Oh
when we were,
gosh, now you're
because it was
getting
like so ridiculous, right? And like
Mm.
that was a cool documentary. I actually like that.
it was a cool documentary, but I remember seeing a post somewhere that said, if you'd have told me 10 years ago that I was sitting here locked in my house because of a pandemic and a reality star was the president and I was watching a show about a guy that collects tigers, I would have told you that you are
And
crazy.
there's our comedy show there. We've written it right now.
Exactly, exactly.
Oh my God.
So one Adrian asks,
Mhm.
Laura, who has been the most influential role model in your career, and what is the best lesson that you've taken from them?
Hmm. Um, it's really hard to pinpoint because I feel like I've had multiple role models throughout my career. Um, so it's hard to say. I would say all the different people that's been my teachers because they've given me or taught me a little piece of information or nugget that I have brought through my own life. Because I can go down, I feel like you don't always have to have just one person. There could be many role models. Well, my earliest role model, believe it or not, my mom was used to be an actress, a theater actress. So there you go. That would be if you want to say my first role model for an actor, my mom, she was an actress. So there you go. She was a theater actress.
I love that. That's so wonderful.
I
Beautiful.
know, a little nugget. Yeah. So there's a lot of the art was in my family, even though we were a medical family, and music also. I started off as a pianist, musician. My dad was an excellent musician. So there's some role models for me. Your parents are always going to be a role model. At least they were for me. So
And you mentioned Ken before because he was a doctor and an actor, and
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because I
and
didn't know anybody at the time. I was like, well, I don't know how many doctor actors are there. So, yeah, he's a role model in that you can have you can have different careers and hedgeway to something else. And I think it's not just for medicine. I think in general, no matter what career you do, if there's something you want, and I don't think it's even like it's too late to do it later in life. I don't really feel like I don't believe in obstacles. Like if you want something, you can do it later in life. And I just don't the word impossible, I like to say it's not really in my vocabulary because I think if you want something, you can make it happen. You might have to work a little harder, a little longer, but you can make it happen. So
yeah,
hopefully that answered the question.
that was a beautiful sort of period on the sentence. I just kind of want to say, uh, wow. Well, thank you. I mean, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. You are so inspiring. And
Yeah.
when people say to me, you know, I'm busy, I have a job, I can't do everything, I'm not getting to it, I always think of you because I think, okay, well, hello. And so you're inspiring to all the clients here. And we thank you so much for being here with us today. Um, and yeah, and so I just want to say thank you. And James, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I want to second that because
Oh,
like from the first time that we've met each other and spoken, I have felt that that you're such a relaxed, fun person to be around.
oh, thank you.
And you've done it again, right? Like talking to you, I'm impressed, I'm moved, I'm inspired. You've moved forward with such determination and been so smart about it. Also like determined and smart and relaxed and playful, and you continue to make it happen, and that gives me so much hope.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just happy, I being part of this was just great, and I just hope it inspires other people to follow their dreams, that nothing's impossible. I mean, if I can do it, you all can do it too. So that's my talking point there.
Awesome. Awesome. I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you, James. And we'll see you guys on our next podcast.
Yay.
Thanks, Valerie.
Okay.
Thanks,
Have a good
James.
day, everyone.
Thanks,
Yep.
Laura.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.